Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Myself Saurabh Sharma, I lead product marketing for Datamatics Intelligent Automation products, and today we are going to delve in the topic of enterprise productivity with intelligent automation. With intelligent automation, we refer to the trio of robotic process automation, intelligent document processing, that's IDP, and artificial intelligence and machine learning. So let's get started. So if we just step back and go a decade back, that's what the enterprise IT stack would have looked like. It was predominantly in enterprise data center, a lot of on-premise systems, some legacy systems, and mostly knowledge workers doing all processing of unstructured data, all processing of mundane tasks, and of course, those were high volume processes. And as you do it manually, there is a lot of chance to have error creep in. There were a lot of applications that didn't expose a web service or an API, so difficult to integrate. But gradually what happened is predominantly more and more of competitors started shifting to digital business and customer interaction starting happening across all digital channels. And that's when we look at the present. So on the right side is the present state of operation, digital business operations, which is predominantly humans working on thinking and more decisioning tasks rather than the processing of mundane tasks or paper-based processes, human-bot collaboration, that's attended automation, and a lot of other technologies, including machine learning, natural language processing, business process management tools, analytics, low-code, no-code. And with the focus on key business outcomes, one is, of course, doing more with less. 70% of the IT budget is spent on keeping the lights on. That's not going to reduce. You have only 30% for driving all innovation. Automation is not the only thing you are going to spend. So there is always that much focus on making the best use of your IT spend, and especially on new technology. You have to improve process efficiency. You have to improve customer experience, deliver a compelling experience across all digital channels, uh, take care of regulatory compliance and mandates. So those are very important. More workloads are moving to the cloud, so ensure that how you just could manage that spaghetti of integrations across on-premise and cloud worlds. And of course, employee productivity as well as experience is important, especially in the virtual world, which we are looking where more a majority of the employees are working from, how to keep them engaged, keep them excited. So those who were well positioned at that time when the COVID pandemic hit us hard, they were able to actually do well and their business grew, their margins grew. And those who were left behind took some time to adjust. They, I think, lost some ground. So automation is important. That's of strategic importance. Now we look at this chart, and if you look at the bottom right, you see a lot of low value opportunities. Those are just tasks that are being automated using RPA. So this is the scenario of about 2015-16 when RPA hype was at peak and started experimenting with RPA for just about any kind of task that can be automated, all the low-hanging opportunity. So while the long tail of this low-value opportunity was large in terms of volume, their potential value, business value to enterprise was less. And gradually from 2018 to about 2019, 2 years, we saw that enterprises experimented with the use case specific automation tools, so RPA as well as AI/ML and other capabilities. So while those opportunities were less, their value to the business was significantly higher. And now we are in an era where it's more about end-to-end automation, where the business value is pretty high, even though the volume of those opportunities is less. But whether you started from RPA or you were doing document processing with a bunch of Python and OCR, what you're figuring out is if you want to scale and move beyond the initial realms of just low-hanging opportunity, end-to-end process automation is the way, and that's where intelligent automation fits in. We define it as a trio of RPA, IDP, and AI/ML. This is Deloitte analysis, and we agree with this all the way. Similar analysis done by Deloitte about what are the top three benefits of intelligent automation based on a survey of 300 respondents, mostly IT and business leaders. And of course, productivity is the number one gain. Cost reduction, doing more with less. If you're doing the same thing, reduce the cost of it. Accuracy needs to be improved. With human intervention, it's always good if it's for decisioning because those are the critical decisions that they need to take. But in terms of basic manual dump processing, that's where humans get tired. They are prone to make errors, and that's where bots do a great job. Improving customer experience, I think that's a big mandate, not just from the customer side, but if you want to survive and stay in the game, you have to improve customer experience, whether it's a mobile application or any digital channel through which you are exposing your product, your services, or just your presence. It's very important to provide compelling experience. And then as you move into analytics, even process analytics is important to continuous improvement, lean Six Sigma, what's happening at process level, why a process is failing after a certain number of steps. You might go back to the drawing board and redo the process, but having that insight into why it's failing and what is the first right version of the process, that's very important. Employee experience is important with just for retention, keeping the employees engaged, especially when they are doing remote work. And 9% surprisingly say that we do not have an intelligent automation. So that's not a big number, but still some do not have it in place. Now from Deloitte to HFS, so this is what is HFS view of the AAA trifecta. The AAA trifecta is of course automation, artificial intelligence, smart analytics. With our robotic process automation, it's more about mundane tasks, how we can increase efficiency and productivity, more to do with structured processes, structured data. RPA hits a wall when we're faced with semi-structured and unstructured data. And of course, you can do dump processing using RPA bots and then use AI/ML or human decisioning to take care of those. So irrespective of how many rules you set in, there is always going to be a time when you require human judgment or an artificial intelligence capability to do that last mile of processing. AI, of course, is important from the perspective of reasoning, knowledge, continuous improvement, what you can learn from humans, how humans take decisions. Can you just replicate that when you do it over and over again? Perception, so AI fills that gap. Smart analytics is again decision making, tackling unstructured and semi-structured data, ability to sense, predict what's going to happen, adapt and recommend. So especially exception management, that's where it does a good job. So that's the AAA trifecta from HFS. And now, from the perspective of what's driving RPA adoption, because we have seen this huge wave of growth in RPA software sales and as well as the services revenue, and it's grown at a fantastic growth rate of CAGR of 50% if we go from 2016 to 21. So first is of course customer experience. Customer experience might come across as just customer experience, but it is also a competitive requirement because if your competitors are providing good customer experience, you will not survive if you lag on that side. Agility in responding to customer requirements. What's happening in the market? Are you able to do that? So RPA allows you to do that. You might have a broader digital transformation agenda. Chief Digital Officer, Chief Innovation Officer, CIO, CTO, CEO might be driving that. And automation is definitely going to be one of the top 4 items in that list. Operational efficiency needs to be improved. Can you do more work using the same resources, or you can automate and let your resources and the knowledge workers work on high priority and more strategic tasks? That's a key business imperative for CEOs. That's a CIO level agenda item. And how you can enable your employees to be more productive, provide a better employee experience, you retain them, you upskill, cross-sell them, they see a career, they stay with you longer, and so that's also important. If the employees are happy, your customers are going to be invariably happy. And then there is a regulatory compliance burden that you need to adhere to, so all that mandates and reporting and analytics comes into play at that time. Last but not the least, it's all about cost saving, doing more with less, because the budgets are not going to be increased to twice or thrice what you want. A 70% budget will still be used for keeping the lights on in large enterprises. So you have to just figure out how to get investment for automation initiatives and make it work. Now, IDP, I'll just step back and just look at it. So I think some of us would be already been exposed to OCR, optical character recognition. It's been used for last 30 years, not a new technology. We did a okay job because earlier there was nothing. But even in the best quality scanners, best quality documents, you might as well achieve not more than 50% accuracy. People tried with a bunch of Python and rebranded it as intelligent OCR. Accuracy didn't increase dramatically, maybe 5-10%. And I think about last 2 years now, automation leaders, so it could be a chief digital officer, automation COE director, or VP of innovation, they're asking us, why am I investing in a technology if it's going to do just 60% automation? Because the time taken to do the rest and the resolution is high. So anything less than 60%, don't use it. And that's where there is increased focus on what can deliver straight through processing. That is, what fraction of process you can automate without human intervention. And that's where IDP, intelligent document processing, plays a big role. So if you look at it in a schematic representation of it, it's like you have a pre-processing, which is basically ingesting the document, making it in the proper size and shape. If it has to be aligned, reduce the noise, do the extraction using OCR, and do post-processing, improve the accuracy of the data output. Once it's converted to a structured format, push it to a CRM tool, ERP tool, or push it to a bot for further processing, whatever is the process. And that's because when these two tools work in tandem, you can achieve greater degree of straight-through processing with accuracy. You can achieve a greater degree of automation. Might as well do 80-90% of automation for a process. I'm talking about complex processes, not those low-hanging opportunities. Cost, of course, cost goes down. Just think of this: how many knowledge workers you will need to process 10 millions of documents, different kind of documents. If you were to do it manually, can you scale that kind of approach, which is manual processing? Not going to work. Even if you try OCR plus human, it's not scalable, it's not agile, you will not be able to deliver the kind of output that you need. And that's where IDP comes in. And business impact, actually. So if you take a lot of time in loan processing, people might apply to another financial institution for loans or mortgage processing. You just can't do that with old tools and humans in the loop. It requires a completely new approach, and that's what IDP brings to the table. And it improves both the top line and bottom line. And last but not the least, as I mentioned earlier, it's about enterprise resilience. So something like COVID happens again. Are you prepared for the requirements of that era, or will you be stuck behind because you don't use automation and suddenly there is a disruption in the workforce productivity? How are you going to tackle that? So all of these, if you look at it, automation primarily is now a strategic item. Gartner has been claiming that it's top two agenda items on enterprise IT. As for the last 2 years, if you just see it from a hyper automation perspective, but that's what we see often in terms of C-level agenda items for enterprises. Now, what's happening? So, just to give you an idea, I mentioned it's a hyper growth that we are seeing in this market. So, by 2020, and these are, by the way, Everest Group estimates, uh, 1.75 billion, around about that mark, and it was expected to be about 2 billion, so some loss of 330 million. That's of COVID. Not that the requirement was not there or people were not asking for it, just that enterprise IT executives and line of business leaders were just circumspect in signing big deals at that time. They were playing more of a wait and watch. And now we see that that has just trickled down into a greater degree of growth for the next 2 years. And we see this market to be worth about 3.4 to 3.6 billion with a CAGR of 45-50%. That definitely places it as the fastest growing enterprise software market. Situation is not so different for IDP. If you look at it, 2020, 750 million should have been around a billion. Again, not because people were not asking for it, but they were not willing to cross the line, sign the check. They were sitting on the border. And now that they have realized and reaped the benefits of automation, that investment is growing again at a further rapid growth rate of 55 to 65. That's just If you look at these numbers, it tells you that 1.1 to 1.2 billion dollars of net new software revenue over the next couple of years. That again places it as one of the fastest growing enterprise software markets. And now, so that's what's happening to the market. What is intelligent automation about? And what are the key drivers of automation tools, adoption of automation tools? So that's one thing. We at Datamatics unveiled a new offer. We started last week, and it's all about driving enterprise productivity. And we have putting it in the umbrella of Datamatics Intelligent Automation Platform, which Shashi will cover later in this presentation, but basically about the trial of robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, and IDP, Intelligent Document Processing. So it starts at $99 per month. It's very attractive pricing. So do check us out at datamatics.com/intelligent-automation or just visit datamatics.com to check out the offer. Uh, in terms of more granular details on the offer, so we are offering one Trubot unattended or attended license, whether you want to do attended automation or you want to do unattended automation. We are offering the one license at that cost. We are also offering access privilege to using 10,000 pages for a period of 90 days. That's for Truecap IDP. That's our intelligent document processing product. And just to help you get started, what are your exact pain points? Have you tried RPA or IDP tools in the past? Are there any specific process you are looking to automate? What could be the best approach? Or for that matter, you want to set up an enterprise COE and help get started. We provide 2 hours of consulting for free. Those of you looking for more details, if you license 1 to 4 bots, we're going to offer 2 designer, 2 cockpits. Those are the enabling architecture components for Trubot. And if you go for more than 5 licenses, you get 4 designers. So 4 people can work in terms of developing bots. 2 cockpits, and we also provide analytics, which is a key differentiator. Once you scale beyond a certain number of bots, say 10 bots, it's important to get insights into what's happening at individual bot level, so on and so forth. What is the ROI? What is the cost of running those bots? And the last and most important thing is, and I think it's something which is very interesting, is we are offering Cockpit Personal, which is an innovation we introduced last year when the COVID pandemic hit all of us hard. And that is basically a lightweight version of Cockpit that you can deploy it on your local machine. So no need to purchase underlying infrastructure, SQL Server, OS. No need to invest in that. Just get up started and running faster. And that comes for free. So we are not just saying we are democratizing RPA, we are offering that in reality, and we are offering at no cost. So just to remind all of you, please do visit the website, look at the offer. If you are already using an RPA, talk to us. Trubot might be able to offer something more for other processes. You might want to use it at the line of business level, or you might find IDP interesting because you might have a huge volume of documents, paper-based processes which have semi-structured and unstructured data. So why don't you check us out and check the Truecap IDP product? So that's about it from my side. I'll now hand it over to Shashi Bhargava, who is the Executive Vice President. He leads product engineering for all of Datamatics Intelligent Automation products. Over to you, Shashi.
Thank you, Saurabh. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So today I'll be covering, after Saurabh has given a very good brief about the market, about the vision, what the trends are, and I'll go ahead and cover the Datamatics Intelligent Automation Platform, various components of the automation platform, AI platform, what they consist of, a little bit detail about the RPA and the IDP platform which we have. Then towards the end, we'll be having a Q&A session with all of you. So this is about the Datamatics Intelligent Automation Platform, a very broad architecture about it. As you can see on the top, like this, we can connect to any of the applications, which could be desktop application, web application, Citrix-based application, mainframe, some legacy enterprise applications. We can also connect via the API. We do have a partnership for the iPaaS through which we can connect. Two major components of our intelligent automation platform. One is a Trubot, which is our flagship RPA product, as mentioned by Saurabh in the call earlier. And I'll just go through three or four major modules of our Trubot. The number one is the designer, where basically you kind of create the bot before you take it to cockpit for execution. And our designer is a pretty much a low code, no code kind of a platform. It's a very good visual designer. Visually, you can go and design the particular bot. We have about 500 plus component library, which can be used to create the bots and the processes. Universal recorder is another unique feature we have where you can cut across various application, target applications where you want to do the surface automation. You can record the process, bring it back into the designer, use certain components to put certain things, and the bot is ready pretty quickly. We have a very extensive debugging, and this is you've got it when working, setting with a lot of bot developers. We sat with them, we did that search with those guys and see what are the kind of issues they face. And we saw that debugging is one of the major issues when the bots fail in the production environment. The developers don't get the right kind of data points which they need to correct and find the issue. We have very extensive debugging tool. There are various debugging options which we have it here. We also have a process listening, like the different processes.
So Shashi, you may want to move closer to the mic.
Okay. Am I better now?
Yeah.
Thank you, Saurabh. So we have a complete control of the process versioning as well. Different process versions can be also maintained in the designer itself. Coming to the cockpit, cockpit is a completely centralized monitoring, control, and management system where the bots can be executed, they can be monitored, they can be managed. All the different parameters like user passwords, user parameters, different URL, different IT system details, different executions, everything can be managed through the cockpit. The complete deployment and utilization you can get sitting in the cockpit, which is a completely web-based application. It's a complete enterprise-wide data security, like data in motion, data in rest, everything is encrypted. We have a lot of security features embedded into the cockpit, which helps in managing the enterprise-level security as well as provide the right governance thing which you need to have it. In the cockpit, we also connect with CyberArk if anybody is looking for a secure vault. Okay, that also is integrated into the cockpit. Moving on, third piece is the digital workforce, which is the software bots, unattended, attended. We support both kind of those bots. It can be used in the virtual environment, in the cloud, or it can be in on-premises. So we support all three type of things, hybrid. We support cloud as well as on-premise as well. We have an additional module called analytics, and we were the first one to come out with this analytics module where we give a lot of operational KPIs related to the RPA program. We have a ROI calculator for the RPA program. We do capture some of the data points, which is the pre-RPA and post-RPA. We get the data from the cockpit, use that thing and show what kind of efficiency, what kind of a process gain, what kind of a ROI return you're getting on your current RPA program. A lot of intelligence is available for the business users in terms of processes being run, in terms of water station being utilized, in terms of the infra being utilized, which can be further optimized for the cost benefit. Moving on to the next piece, which is the Truecap, which is our flagship IDP product, intelligent document processing product. And there are 4 or 5 major steps in it. Number one is the document configuration, whichever document you want to extract the data from, you can go and configure those fields in the system. We do have a lot of pre-processing thing where we do enhance the images. Whatever images we get it, sometimes the image qualities are not good enough for the extraction. We do a lot of image pre-processing on top of it. Like for example, rotation, DSQ, some removing the shadows and things like that, we do it. Then another piece is the intelligent extraction, which is the cognitive capture using a lot of machine learning models, ML models, as well as certain business rules set in the system. We do the extraction. We try to do more extraction and accuracy as well as we can. And moving on to yes, it does require a human in the loop, HITL, this thing, manual review is required. Any of this extraction, intelligent extraction or say tools which you will product, you will see it. Some of the image qualities are not up to the mark, not extracted in that case. review, looking at the image, if the manual guys, reviewers can do something. And we have a very intuitive HITL screen. And then this data which has been extracted can be exported to the system in various different formats, or it can be connected to REST API as well. It's a complete straight-through processing, as Saurabh mentioned in the call earlier. The IDP, one of the important things is that it has to have a straight-through processing, so you can handle good amount of volume of data which comes in. It can be easily handled, or you need a scalable solution and running 24/7. In all our AI platform, we have a true AI, which is the AI-ML model. We have certain AI-ML model depending on the various use cases in the bot and the cap. We use these models and we can connect to other AI-ML models available still in the market like AWS and Azure models also we can go and connect with them. And the workstation wise, bot station, they can be on the VM, they can be physical. We support all of them. And the combination hybrid, as I mentioned, is the total thing. So this is a little bit about the intelligent automation platform. I'll move on to the RPA product. A little bit going to detail about the Trubot RPA, which is a very scalable digital workforce for doing task and the process automation. I'll quickly try to cover the Trubot, some of the major highlights of the product which we have. Okay, as I mentioned initially that yes, it's a centralized web-based. We have a cockpit, unparalleled governance and control. You can control and manage each and every bot which is running in your enterprise through the cockpit. You can control the users. So we support the various personas, the bot administrator, the subject matter expert, the bot executors, okay, who are running the bots. Everything is controlled from the central place. There's the security allowed there. You can control the parameters. You can control the target applications which you're going to automate, on which the bots are running, all the various bot stations. You can control everything from there. And complete log visibility, real-time visibility of the bots getting executed, you can watch it out from the cockpit. Second is AI/ML powered. That's another yes. Nowadays, if you look at it, initially, yes, there were bots which are doing the main processes or being back office processes or being automated, system to system kind of a connectivity, which was using the bots were being used for, which is called Generation 1 RPA, I would say. Now, if you look at it, bots are becoming intelligent wherever we needed human interventions. Okay, when the bots could not do it because earlier bots were pretty much based on the, I would say, the hard-coded business rules, well-defined business rules. The bots were running based on those rules. If something goes out of the rules, human intervention was required. Now, that kind of intelligence is coming into the bot, and we are seeing a good amount of traction in the market with our customers. Now, the customers who have matured, like running 100, 200 bots for the different processes, they want to make the bot more intelligent so that the human intervention is less. And as the bots learn about it, they can use it and do that. We also have a lot of. It's a completely DevOps ready thing, right from the designer till the cockpit. Everything we can take care of it. Or the designer, you go and create a process, you assign certain parameters, you can move it on to Trubot in production. Then you can attach the bot station, assign the users, group control, and everything in the DevOps complete end-to-end is taken care of. We have another very important feature which we call as a proactive health check. It's actually very important. The bots which are scheduled to run in the future time, like maybe 4 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours, or 48 hours down the line, we do a health check on all those bots in terms of availability of bot station, making sure the network connectivity is there, making sure that the passwords and other passwords have not expired, maybe the processor bots have not expired, maybe the user who is going to run that thing, his credentials are up to date, they have not expired. Maybe certain target applications, URL, desktop applications, they're available and the bot can run successfully. If you find any of these issues out there, we raise the alarm, we send the notification to the respective stakeholders so that they can take an action. This is extremely important feature because the bot is scheduled to run at a certain time much before a warning is given to the stakeholder that probably this bot can fail, and they can take a corrective action so that they don't miss the SLAs which are set for bot running. We have designed this cockpit and the designer both for multiple personas. And designer, even a good business user, having a good amount of logical ability can go and create the bots by recording the bots. We have a universal recorder using that. We can do that thing. We have a cockpit side, we have a bot administrator, bot executors, different subject matter experts. They can also use it and they get different access rights, role-based access rights on the cockpit for managing and running. Another important feature we have is a zero bot footprint, which means when the bots run on different bot station, we don't require anything predefined or pre-installed on the bot station. We usually send the complete bot information from cockpit to the bot station and we don't leave anything out. This ensures that there are no confusion between the different dealers, different kind of executables which are there, and it helps us to run. Another important thing is that to run on any bot station where we want to, stations can be used, and we have a feature called dynamic bot station, where like a bot, suppose one bot station is not able to run, it can go to the second bot station automatically, and the bot will run there, and the respective notifications will be sent. Another very important feature we have is a dynamic workload management, where if the load is much more, we can scale up the bot stations, we can on the new bot stations running the bots, or we can scale it down based on the dynamic load which we have. This is extremely important feature because sometimes you have to meet the SLAs for processing, and the number of bot stations are allocated. Based on the load, we start so many bot stations and we take care of it. This is a very interesting feature. We have an inbuilt integration, very smooth and seamless integration with Truecap, which is our IDP product. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we go down the line. We connect with the True AI, which is our AI-ML. A lot of models are there, especially related to the text analytics piece of it. And then we have a True BI, which is our business intelligence tool for having the dashboarding and reporting for different kind of use cases which we do that. As I mentioned earlier, the flexible deployment option, we can do it on cloud, we can do it a hybrid thing, we can also do on premises. All these things we can take care of it as we move. Complete insights into the operations. When the bots are running, the complete RPA ecosystem, you can on a centralized place cockpit, the visibility of each and every bot station, the various stages of the operations. We have very dynamic I call the dynamic monitoring of the bots, where we can see which transaction level we can go and see which transactions are getting over. Along with that, definitely certain business KPIs in terms of ROI, bot license utilization, we have all those available out of the box in the real-time basis. So these are some of the major highlights of the Trubot. I'll go a little bit detail on the designer side of it. If you look at the designer, we have right now about 500 plus ready components, and they come in various categories. Like you can do a lot of work with the Microsoft Office, both O365 and on the client side, a lot of database related operations, because we have seen that's one of the most important things in the various RPA category. G Suite, we connect with the PDF files, we have a SAP connector, we have LDAP, Salesforce. We can work easily on Citrix. On Citrix, we do surface automation as well as we use the channel method to do the much higher accuracy and much higher success rate of the bots. We connect to the enterprise application. Okay, we do the connecting with the mainframe, with the different browsers, different programming constructs also we can have it. So these are the various kind of components. Even we have a best capture kind of a component where even captures also can be handled by the RPA. This is some subscription which you need to take in. You can also we allow the users to create the custom components as well, which can be packaged using the Nugget, and you can bring it into the designer and consume it. You can also have a code block. This is for the advanced developers if they want to write some logic in VBNet or C# code that can also be brought into the designer and consumed in the. Moving on to the Trubot recorder, as I mentioned, this is extremely one of the very important feature of our product, Universal Recorder, where when you are recording the process, you need not do when you switch between the web application and the desktop application. It is a process which cuts across SAP web application and the desktop application. You need not to stop recording for each time and later on merge the code. You can do the recording in one shot and you can bring it into the designer and create the bot. We also support some interesting features like data and pattern escaping on the websites. You can do the complete capture view in the recorder. Very good. Sometimes the developers want to have it, the business user want to look at it. You can capture the hotkeys and send the keyboard also into the Truecap. Some of the cockpit features is a completely centralized monitoring and a control over the RPA program. Okay, which I mentioned about it. Flexibility of deployment. Cockpit can be on-premise or it can be on cloud, can be on a private cloud as well. Enterprise-wide grade security. We do support all kinds of security for data in motion, data in rest. We support key-based encryptions. We support PKI. We also have a tie-up with the CyberArk for storing the voice. All the data which moves between the workstation and cockpit, everything is encrypted, and we take care of that. Elevated UX, yes, with as far as the cockpit and the designer are concerned, we did along with the actual bot developers and the bot administrator. We sat with them, we understood how they're going in, what are their pain points, how they think about it, what we call as empathetic research. And based on that, the whole product UX UI has been designed. As I mentioned earlier, yes, the complete insight on the RP program, that is very important. Okay, like what investment you have done on the RP journey, the complete organization-wise, you can see what kind of a ROI you are getting. ROI is in terms of saving the money, in terms of saving the process time, in terms of saving the FTEs doing the work, in terms of even the error getting reduced as you do roll out more and more bots into the enterprise. The complete utilization and optimization, we have a lot of points, a lot of dashboards which tell you what kind of utilization you're doing for what, and you can optimize based on the number of licenses in which you have. The cost of RPA. This is another interesting piece which you have done in the for the cockpit personal, as Saurabh mentioned last year during the COVID time. Yes, a lot of people wanted to develop the bot, and they were having a problem in getting the infrastructure. Okay, for getting a enterprise-wide cockpit. That's where we came out with the cockpit personal, which really helps you create a bot yourself on a desktop and run it yourself with a very lightweight cockpit with a lot of features of the same as cockpit, and that's what we call democratization of the RPA. Okay, your dependency on the IT team. You can create bot, you can create yourself. It has got all the capabilities similar to the cockpit enterprise. Okay, you can click, you can load the bots out here, you can with just single click, you can run that thing, you can switch over between active and inactive bots, you can do other job at the same time as the bot is running in the background. You can create the different versions of the bot as well. Okay, and you can monitor the progress and see whether the bots have run successfully, they fail, not fail, what is the reason for failure, or the success, how much time it is taking. This actually, we have seen it pretty much used by many of our customers who wanted to have some processes which they wanted to create the bots. They created the bots and they're using this cockpit person to execute it with very less dependency on the. These are some of the analytics which we have it. This definitely helps you in managing the overall cost of the RPA program. There are a lot of out-of-the-box reports which can be used by the users to see utilization of the bot station, utilization of the bot licenses, looking at which processes are running it. Many a times you find a lot of empty windows during the day, and you can, looking at all those data points, you can schedule certain bots accordingly and take advantage and optimize the overall cost of the RPA program. Again, this is a very interesting thing. The Forrester RP Wave 2021 rated as a strong performer. Many other analysts have also rated our product quite a lot. Okay, and we are getting very strong ratings from each one of them. Even with Gartner Peer Insights, we got a rating of 4.6. In trust areas, we got 8.1 out of 10. Our customers love our product, and that's what makes us happy as well. You can get all these various reports and analyst report if you can visit our Datamatics Intelligent Automation site. All this data is available there, and you can certainly have a look. Now I'll move on to the Truecap, which is our intelligent document processing solution, AI-powered template-free artificial. Sorry, Rakesh.
Can I request you to be a little closer to your mic?
Okay, sure, Rakesh. I will. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Rakesh. Now I'll just run through some of the Truecap major highlights, okay, which is our IDP product. The number one is the template free, which means if you're having a particular document, you're extracting the value. Just take a case, for example, an invoice. You know exactly you need to fetch maybe 15, 20 fields out of an invoice, but invoices come in different shape and sizes. Okay, different formats are there. Every vendor will have his own format, but here you define it once. The document ontology is defined once, and we can fetch the data template free. We don't have to go and create the template for each and every vendor. This is one of the biggest advantage we have with our Truecap IDP, because what we do is we use certain business rules. Okay, we business rules along with the certain ML models. Okay, and which is why we are able to extract. We concentrate on extracting, auto extracting the values and increasing the accuracy as well. We have a lot of ML models inside the Truecap. There are certain models which are pre-built, ready to use in the Truecap, which comes as a part of the product. And there are certain models which you need to train it based on the customer's data. And we have a studio in the product which can be used to train the different models based on the client need, which helps us in giving much higher accuracy and much higher extraction rate. Again, Truecap is a centralized based, completely web-based, cloud-ready solution. All data is lying around on the center place, all the documents lying around it. We take care of all the security. We are SOC 2 compliant. And every user, every personas of the product, like whether it's an administrator, whether it's an operator, whether it's a shop floor in charge, managers, they all access it through the browser, and all data is encrypted out. As I mentioned, and Saurabh also mentioned, STP, straight-through processing, is one of the very important features of all the IDP, because as soon as the documents are ingested, you need to start processing on it, you need to work on it, and that's where we have a service-based, queue-based architecture where different services are running in the background. As soon as the document comes in, we take the document and start extracting it. If everything goes well, the data can be exported within few seconds or few minutes. It can go out from the upstream system to the downstream system. And this is where I think we work with the industry. We work with a lot of industry analysts in defining what the definition of IDP is. Okay, what are the features we should be looking in the IDP, and we've contributed quite a lot in that. Another important feature we have is the intuitive HITL interface, where yes, we have done a lot of research out there. We have actually gone and sat with the different users in the BPO centers, the shared service centers, the captive centers to see what kind of challenges and issues they have in collecting the data. Because as we know that 100% data extraction is not possible because of certain image quality, certain documents which we get it, and a human intervention is required. That's exactly where we use this intuitive interface, making the life of the operator as easy and making it as simple for him to do that thing. Another important feature is the image processing. As I mentioned, sometimes the image quality is not good enough to extract the value. We do a lot of image enhancement features, sometimes like as simple as images are rotated, images are de-skewed, all those things we take care of it to make sure that we get, using image enhancement functions, a better output from the OCR engines. We do support multiple OCR engines. So we have an inbuilt OCR engine. Along with that, we support Amazon, we support Microsoft, Google, and Abby as well. And one of the very key features which we have is, and which is a very unique feature for our product, is the convergence of multiple OCR engines. What it means is that we pass the document through multiple OCR engines if you want to get the higher accuracy, and we give the best results with a combination of the 2 or 3 or 4 OCR engines which you use. The Truecap can integrate very easily with the downstream and the upstream systems. We have a REST API-based ingestion and the REST API-based export as well, which is used by many of our customers for doing the integration with the systems. As I mentioned earlier, the Truecap has got a very user-definable ontology where the business users who understand the document, who understand what kind of a fields to be extracted, okay, that can be very easily defined. You don't require a developer to write a code or something. There are many functions given, very easy to define it. You can configure it, and you can be up and running very fast. The product Truecap, we come out with a lot of business analytics in terms of how many documents are getting processed, the complete MIS is there, along with what rate, what auto extraction rate is there, what is the accuracy of the extraction which you're doing it. Along with that, it's also important to have the user productivity. Okay, all the users, we have seen it in this product being used where more than 1,000, 2,000 people are working on it. We need to monitor the user productivity and take corrective action in terms of meeting the SLAs with the customer, or maybe retraining the people if the productivity is low or something. At the same time, we have very good important features like auto classification. So if, for example, a file containing 5, 6 different type of documents is coming, we can do the auto classification of the document. And we can do the auto splitting before we extract the data from the different documents. Along with that, I would say we have a very detailed, complete audit trail in the product, because from the compliance perspective, from governance perspective, any value which is getting changed by the operator or something, we need to keep a track of it, and we have a very detailed audit trail for the same. Moving on to the architecture side of it, I think I'll quickly run through it. On the system input side, we can take data from email, FTP, SFTP through API on a Google Drive or AWS S3 or any shared folder. Look at the middle block, which is our document processing block. We do manage all the input. We do manage based on the rules, certain thing. We input the document into the system. We have a self-learning system, self-learning module, as we sometimes the system can't extract the value. If the user enters it manually, system learns it from there, and next time a similar document comes, we know how to extract the value. It's a very scalable system, so we can run multiple instances of the various service, which can also be easily managed. Multiple OCR engines, as I mentioned about it, it's a queue-based architecture. We can maintain multiple versions of machine learning models. Depending on, sometimes you retrain it. If the efficiency is not proper, you can revert back to the old one. We have a complete detailed audit trail. We have a data management and archiving purging thing. Notification engine which sends a notification if something goes wrong or certain milestones are achieved. Respective stakeholders get the different notification. We can set certain output rules as well. Like, for example, we can do data transformation in the export. Let's say you want the same date format, we can do certain things. You want amount in a certain way. All those things can be set very easily, and we can schedule the output as well. Now, looking from the administrator perspective, user management is there. We have a role-based access control. There are a lot of dashboards giving the details about the operations and the different KRAs for the products are there. We can define the ontology, as I mentioned, by the subject matter expert. We can manage the batch, and we can manage the schedules as well. We have a studio component where the models can be trained, the models with required training based on the customer document, and we can do the as well. In the HITL side, you can manually upload the documents, you can do the batch handling, you can capture the data manually if required. There's a click and capture. With the HITL screen, we give a lot of easy facility. So users have to type in the whole data looking at the image. They can do click and capture also if required. So this is a very brief about the IDP solution architecture. Coming further, I think in the average IDP metrics, which came in 2020 and now they've released in 2021, quite a lot. Because of a lot of features, a lot of things which have added in the product, and we've been rated the major contender and the star performer in the average peak matrix 2021. And with a lot of other analysts have also covered our product and given us very good rating. They're all available at our datamatics.com. With this end, I end the presentation. Over to you, Raka.
Thank you, Shashi, and thank you, Saurabh, for the insightful presentation. So
Can
I
you
see.
pass on the control to me?
Sure.
Yeah.
I did that. So I see some questions. I'll just quickly read them out. You mentioned about Datamatics solution can be deployed on the cloud. Can it be also deployed like behind the firewall of your enterprise?
Yes, it can be done. We need to look at exactly if you want in the DMZ or something, it can be done about it. And what kind of access you want to give it, where your users are. We can do that. That is all. It can be on your premises where you want.
Sure. So Shashi, I'll request you to be a little closer to the mic when you're answering.
Sure. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next question is, how much of AI and ML is being used in RPA that you are seeing?
That's a very interesting question, Rakesh. Actually, if you look at the journey, RPA journey of the various enterprises, various customers which we see, initially it was system to system kind of a back office processes, low hanging, which people saying very repetitive kind of processes. They have been automated using the RPA. Then it came the next generation where, like, you're seeing now that is what is happening today is You need to extract the documents, data from the unstructured documents, extract the data and create the structured data and use it and consume it in the downstream systems. And along with that, I think I've seen many customers, I mentioned that many of our customers who are using 100, 150, 200 bots, practically they have automated most of the processes in their organization. And now they are looking at using, and they've done pilots, few of the pilots have been very successful using AI/ML capabilities, making the bot intelligent. See, we brought the bots came into the RPA, came into the existence, a lot of bots started running for it, a lot of mundane, repetitive tasks, they did it, but they were not intelligent. They were pretty much based on the certain standard business rules given by the customers. If anything goes beyond the rule, what needed a manual intervention, and that's where the attended bots and a lot of operators have to sit and do that kind of a job. And that is where we are seeing how intelligent we can make the bots, even those things, the decisions can be taken by the bot, and we are seeing a self-learning kind of a thing as well. So as the bots are running and manual intervention happens, people give the decisions out there, the bots are learning from there. If the same situation, something comes next time, okay, they don't go to the human beings, it bot takes a decision. There are multiple use cases coming in, telling you whether it's a fraud analysis, fraud cases, whether it's a regular certain processes, the pattern finding. There's an ample number of ML cases, AI/ML cases which are coming in, and everybody has started this journey. Most of the guys who have matured on the RPA, have done most of the regular processes, they are moving towards this AI/ML. So I see a great potential out there making your bots intelligent using AI. Back to you, Raka.
Thanks, Shashi. The next question is around the pricing. So, how is Datamatics Intelligent Automation Platform priced? Maybe Saurabh, you can take this up and tell, maybe the pricing for both the RPA and the IDP solutions.
Yeah, so on the IDP side, that's Truecap is priced based on page volume. And from our perspective, a page is a page, whether it's a receipt, whether it's A4, whether it's a legal size. So that's about Truecap. Trubot, the current prevailing pricing is, as we have shown in the offer, that's $99 per month for attended or unattended automation. In the past, we used to have packages, but those are not applicable now. So I'll just stick to that.
Thanks, Saurabh. The next question is, does Trubot and Truecap integrate with other enterprise applications?
Okay, let me take that question, Saurabh. Yes, it does integrate with that, as I mentioned, the Truecap. We look at Truecap to integrate both downstream and upstream systems. Okay, we have the REST API based kind of a APIs available to which the documents can be displayed and data also can be exported. And even on the RPA side, we have there's the two things, the two way the systems can be integrated. One is the surface automation way, and the second is the API based. We have both the kind of solutions available. Using our RPA tool, you can do the surface automation and integrate various systems. We give you various components. We have ready components for SAP, Salesforce, many of the popular applications. And second, we also support iPaaS, which is integration using platform as a service, using the API base with all of popular application. We have a partnership with Workato, and using that we can connect it. So integration with any other system, most of the popular applications available in the market, we can do very easily both in RPA as well as IDP.
Thanks, Shashi. The next question is, what is the accuracy level of the Datamatics IDP solution? And does AI or ML help improve that over a period of time?
Excellent question, Rakesh. I think, both the points are extremely important. If you look at the accuracy perspective, yes, it depends quite a lot on the images which we get it, the quality of the images. That's the major constraint which we have. We have seen cases where the image quality is pretty good, and it's a searchable PDF kind of a thing. We've gone up to the 100% extraction as well, 100% auto extraction. But depending on the image quality, like the way it comes in, depending on various cases, accuracy can vary anywhere from 75, 85, 90, 95 in the beginning when we start with it. But over a period, and that's where the AI/ML comes in, the system does self-learning. Okay, as we do more and more learning, the accuracy keeps increasing. And we have seen accuracy going, let's say, starting with 70, 75, going all the way up to 90, 95 very easy. We've seen that thing. So accuracy increases, definitely increases as the system learns and the model learns, and we use that model for further extraction. And I would say there are two things. Number one is the extraction accuracy, auto extraction rate, and the accuracy rate. Both of them go up as the model.
Thanks, Shashi. The next question is, does Datamatics IDP recognize handwritten documents?
Okay, well, that's very good question again, Rakesh. Yes, we do. In a Truecap, we do recognize handwritten documents, and we get a decent accuracy about it. I think the accuracy is pretty high in terms of structured forms where the blocks are there and people write in. Accuracy is pretty high. But free flow handwriting, which is there, it's there. We do extract it, but the accuracy rates are not very good. But still, we get sometimes if the handwriting is okay, we get 75-80% as well, but it varies again on the quality of handwriting, because handwriting varies from person to person, geo to geo, and that's where the challenge is. Still, I would say that I'd like to add one more point, Rakesh, here is that a lot of research is being done in that direction. Okay, capturing the handwritten documents, capturing handwritten accuracy. We are also working on it. We have been doing a lot of R&D work on that side. Well, I've seen the industry also, a lot of players are working on it with whom we are also collaborating. And we are working towards that, making sure that the handwritten documents extraction also improves as we go along. And I'm sure in the next few years, we'll be having much better results as we go.
And I would add to that, I think as an industry, the accuracy is typically not that great for handwritten documents. So some vendors might say we are using fractal signs and we are able to handle cursive handwriting. That's not true. So whatever we are able to support, that's pretty much what the rest of the industry is able to support as of
Thanks,
now.
all.
Thanks. So I think we have one last question. This one is around COE. How important is it to have like a COE for intelligent automation in enterprises?
Yeah, so it's very important to have, not just for intelligent automation, but any major transformational project. If it used to be service-oriented architecture 10 years back, you used to have integration center of excellence. And why you need to have it? First is you need to have a proper governance framework around the enterprise. So it's not that LOBs do their own thing, how you're governing the interaction of those bots. You don't want individual line of business leaders going ahead and buying their own RPA tools and using it as their will. That's shadow IT. The data security and privacy risks associated with that. The other thing is the change management supports are going to be part of their workflows. There are always going to be some concerns around their friction with humans. Is the bot going to take my job away? So those things need to be tackled. Some companies have done really good on that front. You can name bots. You can have give them email IDs, give them persona. That's one of the things to look at. The other thing is about developing the competency. So, okay, fine, you engage a professional services provider or a consultant, they build bots for you, or define ontologies and get you up and running with the intelligent document processing solution. But what after that? There's not a long-term solution. So you need to build that competency, upskill, reskill your developers and citizen developers to build automations on their own. So these are the important aspects. Otherwise, it's about institutionalizing, so having a proper governance, a steering committee in place, business, IT stakeholders, process owners, process knowledge experts. They all come to the table and define what are the key objectives for RPA, and you can start small and scale afterwards. But that's what COE gives you a proper structure and framework to make sure that you can institutionalize RPA and IDP and AI-ML adoption in the enterprise and scale from there. Without that, it's going to be difficult. You can always start without in COE. So if you want to just experiment with RPA or IDP, automate a few processes, throw in few bots here and there, that's fine. But once you reach a critical mass, the 10 bots, or it becomes more strategic to your enterprise, it's about mission critical process, not just non-mission critical process. That's where Siri becomes very important. You just can't ignore that.
Thanks, Saurabh. So that's all the questions that we had for today. And I think we've also run out of time. So over to you, Saurabh. I think if you can just close the webinar.
Yeah, thanks, Rakesh. So I will again repeat, do check us out on datamatics.com/intelligent automation or datamatics.com. It's a fantastic offer, whether you're using RP in the past or you want to shift to another vendor, or for that matter, you want to delve into the area of intelligent document processing. You have a lot of paper-based processes. It's a great way to get it started running. Always reach out to us if you have any queries. We will be happy to answer. But I hope you enjoyed the insights and the content and the thoughts we shared. We enjoyed the questions for sure. So until next time, stay safe, take care, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you very much for joining us.